I never thought I'd be the guy to catch his wife cheating, especially not in our own home. Ruth and I had been together for about 7 years. We met in college, got married, had a pretty decent life. At least that's what I thought. She always played the busy career woman card, always telling me how important her job was, how she was climbing the ladder, and how she couldn't afford to slack off. I was supportive, or at least I thought I was. I worked hard too, trying to keep the house running, paying the bills, making sure we had everything. We weren't perfect, but I believed we had something real. But lately, things had started to feel off. Ruth became more distant. She'd stay late at work, cancel plans last minute, and when she was home, she'd be glued to her phone, constantly texting or scrolling through something. She'd come home with new clothes, perfume I didn't recognize, and always had an excuse. "It's just a new client," she'd say, or "one of my coworkers is helping me prepare for a big presentation." I wanted to trust her, I really did, but I couldn't shake this feeling that she was hiding something. Then, a week before I found out the truth, I noticed her acting even more secretive. She started locking her phone even during dinner. She'd get calls late at night and quickly run into the bedroom to answer. I'd catch her lying about where she was, saying she was at a friend's house when I knew she was at her boss's office. The more she lied, the more I felt like I was losing my mind. But I kept quiet, telling myself maybe I was just paranoid. One night I was just trying to get some sleep when I heard strange noises coming from our bedroom. It sounded like muffled laughter, maybe a voice I didn't recognize. I got up, thinking maybe she was on a late call. When I peeked inside, I froze. There she was in our bed with her boss, Mark. They weren't just working late. I could see they'd been doing more than that. Clothes strewn around, their bodies tangled. Ruth was biting her lip, her hair a mess, and Mark's hand was resting on her thigh. My stomach dropped, and I felt my heart pounding so hard I thought it would explode. I didn't make a sound. I just watched from the doorway, disbelief washing over me. My wife, the woman I trusted, was cheating on me with her boss, someone she'd always said was just a mentor, someone who was supposed to help her career. That's when everything changed. I knew I should wake her up, confront her right then and there, but I just stood there, stunned, trying to process what I'd just seen. It felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. I had no idea how to even begin to handle this. Seeing her like that, so vulnerable and exposed, made me feel sick, like I'd been betrayed in the worst way possible. After what felt like forever, I finally backed out of the room slowly, my mind racing. I didn't want to make any noise, didn't want to wake her or Mark, but my hands were trembling. I needed space, time to breathe and think. I went into the living room, sat on the couch, and just stared at the wall. My head was pounding, heart pounding in my chest like I'd just run a marathon. I kept replaying what I saw, trying to make sense of it all. Ruth, my wife, the woman I'd loved and trusted for years, was having sex with her boss, someone I knew she'd always looked up to at work, but someone I'd never suspected she'd sleep with behind my back. The shock was worse than I expected. It wasn't just betrayal, it felt like my entire world was collapsing. I'd always thought we were solid, that our relationship was based on honesty and mutual respect. But that night I saw the truth. She was lying to me, hiding this affair from me for months. How long had she been lying? Had she ever really loved me? Did I mean anything to her at all? Those questions kept swirling around my head, making it hard to breathe. I kept telling myself I should wake her up, confront her right then and there. But part of me was numb, afraid of what she might say, afraid of losing her forever. Instead, I just sat there, staring at the dark, feeling the weight of the betrayal sinking in. I felt angry, so angry I could almost feel it in my bones. How could she do this to me, to us? She always acted like she cared, like she loved me, but it was all a lie. I thought she was my partner, my best friend. Turns out she'd been cheating on me with her boss, the very person who was supposed to be helping her, not destroying us. The next day I couldn't even look at her. She woke up early, all cheerful, acting like everything was normal. "Morning, babe," she said, kissing my cheek. I just nodded, not trusting myself to speak. I saw the slight smirk on her face, like she knew she'd gotten away with something. I wanted to scream at her, to ask her why, how long, what she was thinking, but I didn't. Instead, I got up and left the house for a walk, trying to clear my head. I knew then that my world had changed forever. I couldn't go back to pretending everything was fine. I needed to figure out what to do next. Could I forgive her? Could I even look her in the eye again? That was the question that haunted me all day. Walking away from the house didn't help much. The fresh air didn't clear the fog in my mind, and every step I took only made me more pissed off. I couldn't believe I'd let myself get blind to what was happening right under my nose. I kept thinking about all the signs I ignored. Her late nights, her secretive phone calls, the way she'd flinch every time I mentioned her boss, Mark. I felt like a damn idiot. How did I not see it? How did I not realize Ruth was lying to me for all these months? That day, I decided I needed to confront her, no matter what. I went back home, heart pounding again, and found her in the kitchen, pretending to be busy cooking dinner. She looked up when I walked in and immediately put on that fake smile she always used when she was trying to hide something. I looked her straight in the eyes, and for a second I hesitated. I thought about just leaving, about walking out and never looking back. But I couldn't do that, not yet. "Ruth," I started, voice trembling despite myself. "I saw you last night. I saw you with Mark. In our bed, I saw everything." Her face didn't change much, just a flicker of annoyance. She scoffed, rolling her eyes like I was overreacting. "Oh, really? You saw what? You're being dramatic as usual. You probably just saw us talking. Maybe you're imagining things." Her tone was bitchy, dismissive, like I was the crazy one, but I knew what I saw. No way I was imagining that. I clenched my fists. "Don't lie to me, Ruth. I saw the way you were. I saw the way you looked at him like he was the only thing that mattered. And you're telling me it's nothing." She crossed her arms, and that smug little smirk returned. "Look, I don't owe you an explanation. Mark is just helping me out, my career, okay? That's all it is. You're overreacting. You always do." Her words hit me like a punch. She was lying. I knew she was lying, but her tone made me question everything. Was I just jealous? Or was she really telling the truth? But deep down, I knew better. I knew she was lying, and that realization made me feel sick. I never thought she'd be capable of this kind of betrayal. She always played the victim, said I didn't trust her, that I was paranoid. But now I knew the real truth. She'd been sneaking around behind my back, sleeping with her boss, all while pretending everything was fine. I felt my stomach turn. All the years we built, all the plans we made, was it just a lie? Had she ever loved me, or was I just convenient? The thought tore me apart, and I didn't know what to do with the anger, the hurt, or the sadness that exploded inside me. In the days that followed, everything felt like a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to that night, to what I saw, and to her bullshit excuses. Ruth acted like she was the victim, like I was overreacting, like she was the one being unfair. She snapped at me whenever I asked questions, called me paranoid, told me I was just jealous because I didn't have her ambition. That was the worst part, the way she dismissed everything, like I was crazy for even thinking she could do something so cruel. Honestly, I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. I kept questioning myself. Was I imagining things? Maybe she was telling the truth and I just couldn't handle it. But deep down, I knew that was bullshit. I knew she'd been lying, cheating, sneaking around for months. I saw her in bed with Mark. How could I forget that? How could I even consider believing her excuses? Still, the way she acted, so bitchy and dismissive, made me realize she was never going to own up. She'd lie her way out of it, spin it like she was the victim. One night, I found myself sitting alone in the living room, staring at my phone. I was debating whether to call a lawyer or just pack my bags and leave. I wasn't even sure what I wanted anymore, justice or just to get out of this mess. My mind kept jumping between rage and despair. That's when I got the first text from her, trying to smooth things over. "We need to talk," she said. "I'm sorry if I hurt you. I love you." I almost laughed out loud. Love? After all that, she didn't love me. She loved her career, her boss, her little affair. She just wanted to keep things quiet so she could keep cheating and moving up the ladder. I responded with a simple message. "I've seen enough. I'm done trusting you." That was the moment I finally accepted that I couldn't fix this. I couldn't pretend she was innocent anymore. She lied too much, played victim too well. I realized I had to protect myself from her venomous lies and manipulations. I decided I wasn't going to fight for a marriage that was already broken. I wasn't going to be her fool anymore. I deserved better than this, better than a wife who cheated and lied and a life built on illusions. I knew I needed to get out, to start over, even if it hurt like hell. The decision was made, but actually following through was the hardest part. I spent days trying to figure out what I wanted to do, whether to confront her again or just pack my things and leave. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that staying would only mean accepting her lies and being a fool for the rest of my life. I wasn't going to let her keep pulling this shit, not anymore. That night I went into the bedroom, saw her sitting on the bed, pretending to be innocent like she hadn't just been screwing her boss in our bed. I looked at her and told her I was done, that I knew everything. Her eyes widened for a second, then that same bitchy smirk came back. "You're overreacting," she said. "It's not what you think, you're just insecure." Insecure? I had never felt so furious in my life. I told her I wasn't stupid. I knew about the affair, about Mark, and I was tired of her bullshit. I told her I'd had enough of her lies, her manipulations, and her acting like I was some paranoid idiot. I told her I was leaving and that I wanted her out of my house. She started crying, fake tears, I could tell. She begged me to stay, said she loved me, that it wasn't what it looked like. But I wasn't buying it. I couldn't even look at her without feeling disgusted. I grabbed my keys, my phone, and her bag and told her she needed to leave. She kept trying to guilt me, saying I was overreacting, that I was ruining everything, but I didn't care anymore. Just seeing her face, so bitchy and entitled, made me realize I'd been blind for too long. I was done being the fool. I never thought I'd be one to kick his wife out, but at that moment I knew it was the only way to save what little dignity I had left. As she stormed out, clutching her purse, she threw a parting shot. "You'll regret this. Mark's just helping me, you'll see." "Yeah, right. Whatever." I shut the door behind her, leaned against it, and finally let myself breathe. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I had no idea what was coming next, but I knew I'd never trust her again. The betrayal cut so deep I wasn't sure I'd ever get over it. But at least now, I was finally free from her lies. In the days that followed, I felt like I was waking up from a nightmare I didn't know I'd been trapped in. The house was eerily quiet without Ruth's bitchy comments or her fake smiles. At first, I kept waiting for her to come back, to beg me to take her back, but that never happened. Instead, she ghosted me completely. No calls, no texts, nothing. Probably scared she'd see the anger in my eyes or realize I knew everything. Honestly, I didn't even feel like fighting anymore. I just felt tired of the lies, tired of the betrayal, tired of feeling like a fool. The emotional roller coaster was brutal. Sometimes I'd be furious, cursing her name in my head. Other times I'd sink into this deep sadness, wondering if I'd ever find someone who genuinely loved me, who didn't cheat and lie. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, but deep down, I knew that wasn't the point. Ruth was a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she could walk all over me, and she did. It hurt, but it also felt like a huge weight had been lifted. I finally saw her for what she was, a liar, a cheater, and someone who didn't deserve my trust. I also realized something important. I'd been giving her all my support, all my love, and all my time, hoping she'd reciprocate. But she never did. Instead, she was out there, screwing her boss, pretending to be the victim. That realization made me angry at myself for not seeing it sooner, but I also knew I had to focus on myself now. I started going out more, seeing friends, and rebuilding my confidence. I didn't want to be the guy who let someone walk all over him. I wanted to be better, stronger, and smarter for the next chapter of my life. Looking back, I learned a few things. First, trust is fragile. Once broken, it's nearly impossible to fully repair. Second, some women are just manipulative, and no amount of love or support can change that. And third, I'm better off without someone who disrespects me that way. I still hurt, of course. Betrayal cuts deep, and it's not something you just shake off overnight. But I'm starting to move on. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't tolerate that kind of bullshit again. So, if there's any advice I could give to someone in a similar situation, trust your gut. Don't ignore the warning signs. And if you catch your partner cheating, don't let her or him gaslight you into thinking it's your fault. Stand your ground, confront the truth, and do what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, you deserve someone who respects you, loves you, and doesn't cheat behind your back. That's what I've finally realized. And even though it hurts, I know I'll come out stronger on the other side.